Hello, hello. Welcome to Healthy Perspectives, a podcast that takes on current cultural and social issues through a clinical lens. Hello, hello. Welcome back. Thank you so much for joining us. As always, we appreciate your time, and we are glad you have taken the time to join us today because we are going to talk briefly. Look, I know I've been a little inconsistent in my shows, and I told you if you've been with me for a while, you know why. I've got some stuff going on with the family, and family is important, so I go take care of family, and that's just the way it's going to be. So you might get 1, 2, or 3 podcasts drop in a week. It's going to be a little bit on the variable side, but today we're going to talk about a bloodbath. I've got so many topics I really, really want to address. Unfortunately, I can't get to all of them because now I have more content than I have time. And that's just the way it goes sometimes. So without further ado, let's get to the bloodbath. Let me ask you a question. And I want you to think about this seriously. Look, if I do only one thing well at Healthy Perspectives, and that's getting you to think independent of these crazy things that you're told you're supposed to think, this will be a success. This will be a massive success. So without further ado, Hiroshima. Who's responsible for Hiroshima? Now, just in case you don't know, that's where the U.S. bombed Japan in 1945. It was a big boom, big cloud, mushroom cloud. Who's responsible for it? Was Japan responsible? Was the United States responsible? Or maybe Einstein, he created the technology, right? The atomic bomb. Maybe it was the one who released it from the plane. Maybe it was the one who created the detonator. Man, yeah, it's definitely got to be their fault. Okay, so you're starting to get my point. All right, carrying on. How about this one? Who's responsible? When we're talking about Martin Luther King Jr.'s death, was it James Earl Ray? That's what most people would say. But maybe it was the gun manufacturer. Oh, here's one for you. Maybe it was his parents or his friends. Who was responsible? I'm not doing this to distract you, I promise. I'm doing this because there's something that we as a culture are really, really terrible at. Matter of fact, I would even venture to say, I'm bringing this to you because in this way, as a culture, we are stupid, not smart, unintelligent. How about this one? The White Sox scandal in 1919. Who's responsible? Was it the White Sox? Was it the players? Was it one player, 2 player, 7, 8? I know. If you're into baseball history at all, you know that one. Maybe it was Major League Baseball. Maybe it was the fans. You notice what I'm doing here, folks. Playing the blame game. Who's responsible? How about Jesus hanging from a cross? Who's responsible? Was it the soldier? Was it the disciples? Was it you? Was it Pontius Pilate? Who's responsible? Folks, we have got to be smarter than this. We've got to be smarter than this. Responsibility is an important thing. Very important thing. Me, we have got to take responsibility for our part, our piece of the puzzle. And we suck at it. Let me prove it to you. I'm going to prove it to you with a current event. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to share my screen. So hang in there. This is going to take just a second. I'm going to play you something that I know you have seen a whole bunch of, but I am giving you a slightly different take, maybe, than some of the people that you have seen out there. I'm going to put up on the screen here a clip, a short clip. I'm not going to share the whole thing, so don't worry. You don't have to fret here. I'm not going to bore you with the entirety. Donald Trump. Not because I want to be political, but because I want to show you in current events, current cultural context, how stupid we are capable of being because we want to believe something so badly. Have a listen.
If you're listening, President Xi, and you and I are friends, but he understands the way I deal, those big monster car manufacturing plants that you're building in Mexico right now, and you think you're going to get that, you're going to not hire Americans, and you're going to sell the cars to us. Now, we're going to put a 100% tariff on every single car that comes across the line, and you're not going to be able to sell those cars. If I get elected, now, if I don't get elected, it's going to be a bloodbath for the whole. That's going to be the least of it. It's going to be a bloodbath for the country. That'll be the least of it. But they're not going to sell those cars. They're building massive factories. A friend of mine, all he does is build car manufacturing plants. He's the biggest in the world.
Okay, folks. It doesn't take a genius to figure this out, but I got a question for you. Very simple question. What was the topic? You're not stupid. You could go watch this whole thing in its entirety. I watched it. What was his topic here? Car manufacturing. If you can't see that, you probably need to check yourself. Now, am I a fan of his terminology? No, not at all. This is the issue. You've probably heard me in other episodes in the past. I have addressed that I do not necessarily like the way that this man talks. But let me ask you this question. If there is an incitement of violence, of real bloodshed, I want to ask you a question. Who is responsible? Let me show you something. This is important. Please follow through with this contrast because it's a big deal. This is a psychological issue. The games that are being played with you are real. If people get you or me to act out in unhealthy ways because we're too dumb to check out reality, well, then I guess we've got what we have coming for us, unfortunately. And unfortunately, it could be a bloodbath, folks. Now, I don't want it to be that. I am not asking it to be that. I am actually refuting the necessity for that. I'm saying, no, it doesn't have to be that. But if you're not paying attention, you're going to get sucked in to your vantage point. I'm not talking, I don't care if you're a Democrat or a Republican, you're going to get sucked in if you're too dumb to pay attention to reality. Reality, right? You could be saying, oh, that's a message for me to create anarchy and chaos. And you could be saying that that is not a message for me, but it is a message that somebody else will be creating anarchy and chaos. And then you put yourself in a defensive position or you put yourself in an aggressive position. But let's see. I picked, this was the first one that popped up on YouTube. So ABC News. I want you to listen to how that was portrayed here and ask yourself this question. Who is responsible if violence ensues? Who?
House and former President Trump's campaign now on the defensive after his fiery rhetoric at a rally in Dayton, Ohio on Saturday night. Trump warning while discussing the economy that there would be a, quote, bloodbath if he is not reelected in November. This after the former president kicked off the event by paying tribute to those who attacked the U.S. Capitol on January 6th.
Okay, folks. Who's going to be responsible if there is a bloodbath? Is it Donald Trump who said something in context with manufacturing vehicles and not my favorite language, but not the way it was portrayed there? Or is it her? Or is it ABC News? Because ultimately, aren't they responsible for what their hosts say? Or is it YouTube? YouTube has this up on their platform. Or are you going to blame me because I am not taking a side? And my quote unquote passivity, my neutrality on the issue itself is too disturbing and it's causing frustration. Folks, we can make cases that this is Donald Trump's fault if violence ensues. We could make a case that it's ABC, YouTube, just like we could make a case that it's Einstein's fault that the bomb went off in Hiroshima. We can make that case, folks. We could also make the case that it's Major League Baseball's fault that the 1919 White Sox had a scandal. They should have seen it coming. They should have set up guardrails. That the soldier who hung Jesus on the cross, it was his fault. He's the one who put the nails in. Folks, we can run around blaming, getting sucked into things and then blaming, then getting sucked into more things and then blaming. And so it goes. We could do that. Or we can open up our eyes, pay attention to what's happening, identify propaganda as propaganda, and make informed, conscientious decisions. That is a possibility. You are capable. You are capable of hearing this and being frustrated with the way that I'm presenting it. You are capable of responding to me and doing it in a way that incites violence or creates conversation. You could be cruel, or you could be kind. That doesn't mean you accept everything as it goes. Do I like that he talks like that? Absolutely not. Do I like that he is defending the American auto industry? Absolutely. I can see it for what it is. He's trying to take care of the American auto industry. Good. I mean, it'd be great if somebody would do that, right? I'm a fan. I'm a fan of the American workers. I'm a fan of American industry. I'm a fan of American knowledge. I'm also a fan of all kinds of other knowledge too. But if I just take a side because I'm already on that side, I contribute to the chaos, the problem. I am part of the problem if I do that. And the truth is, so are you. So are you. If we don't, if you don't, if we don't, if I don't start paying attention to the context of information and I listen to these snippets and I go with them, I would have walked away believing two things about Donald Trump there. And I am not a big fan of Donald Trump. I would have believed two things. That he was trying to create a bloodbath, not because of the clip that he actually said that in, but because of that news person, supposed news person with ABC News, whoever she was. I actually don't know who she is. She's saying that he was promising a bloodbath if he doesn't get elected. That's not what he said. She was saying he also was more or less making excuses for the J6 folks. Listen to it in context. Listen to it in context. He's talking about the justice system. And let's be real. We've known forever our justice system doesn't get everything right. So it's not a surprise they don't get everything right. Is it a decent system most of the time? Yeah. Is it flawed? Yeah. Why? Because people run it. Wherever people go, there will be errors. It's literally that simple. So his argument may or may not be valid, but he's making the argument that there was an injustice in the way that it was prosecuted, which is true. It's true. They actually just had a whole court case not too long ago where they showed the overrate. How did they do it? The punishments did not fit the crimes. Not that they shouldn't have been punished, some of the people who participated, but where we have seen historically they would get a year or 2 years or 5 years for these particular things. They were getting, instead of a year, they were getting 2 to 3 years. Instead of 5 years, they were getting 15 years. And that is where you can see that the punishment doesn't fit the crime. Or you have to take a look at the entire justice system and say, why were we doing it wrong for so long? And if it's a corrective measure, then so be it. Stand up, make the claim. I'll listen. I want to know. But nobody's doing that. So pay attention to reality. And it's not what you want reality to be or what I want reality to be, but the reality that actually is. I hope this was helpful when you think about who is responsible. At the end of the day, you are responsible. I am responsible. Do your part. Or whatever comes is our fault. Thank you so much for joining us. I know this one was a little darker, but I definitely appreciate your time. I hope this was helpful, and I hope you have a wonderful day. Hey, everybody. Thanks for listening. We appreciate our audience a lot, so we give you some simple ways to track us down. Please like, subscribe, and follow all the podcasts on different platforms, but you can also email us at healthyperspectives@protonmail.com, or you can check out our website at healthy-perspectives.com/podcast. It's a backward slash. So if you want to go to our landing page, if you go to healthy-perspectives.com, you'll still find us. You just got to click on the podcast button. Thank you so much.